Do you have any idea what this pipe is? Can you see the little pipes going down into the ground? The little pipes are well points, just like a shallow well. And what they're doing is they are pumping the water up out of the ground so they can actually work on this area. This is a dewatering system, and it's the ultimate dewatering system. We talk a lot about French drains and sump pumps for backyards that are wet and soggy. Well, this removes so much water that it becomes dry as a bone. Hey, good morning. Chuck here with Apple James. We talk a lot about removing water from the backyard using sump pumps and French drains, but this is a dewatering system, and it's used mostly on construction sites or perhaps if they're building a swimming pool and the area is really swampy. What we're seeing is the discharge from the big pump. That was the beginning clip. This line is a 6-inch hose, runs all the way over to a creek. It's about a quarter of a mile away, and that water is being pumped out of the ground using well points, just like a shallow well. Let's take a look at this pump and see how much pressure it has and how well it's actually working to dry this area out. If you live here in Florida and you've ever decided to maybe put a fence post in and you've dug with your post hole diggers down a foot, you probably hit groundwater. Take a look at that pump. It's 30 pounds of pressure that it's pulling out of the ground. Discharge. This is the pipe I just showed you that goes out about a quarter of a mile. And you can see all the well points. Each one of these well points is like a shallow well, and they extend down about 3 meters, so 14, 15 feet. And you can see the water 24/7. These things pump water to keep this area dry. And there's probably 60, 70 well points here. Without them, that machine would just sink into the mud. That's how much groundwater there is here in Florida, and it's tremendous. Water gets sucked up through the sand. It's a capillary action, and it just pulls itself to the surface, and it creates a swamp. The same thing in your backyard. I've experimented with this on people's yards, trying to use a shallow well pump, and it's more costly to do it with a pump in the well points and a pump that runs 24/7 than it is to actually put a French drain and a regular sump pump in the yard. And our sump pump system with French drains, they work great, but this is the ultimate dewatering, and it will dry your area. Each one of these well points pulls about 600 gallons of water every day. And the real secret to doing this is it must be pumped far enough away that it does not come back underground into the area. Can you see that little flow of water coming up? Of course, this is the far end of the pipe. As we get closer to the pump, you'll see a lot more water coming up out of these well points. Remember, each well point is down about 3 meters, 4 meters, so 14, 15 feet, and they pump 24/7. Can you see that? It keeps the area dry. When you stop pumping, it will start to get wet and muddy within about 24 hours. So whatever construction you're doing, you have to continue to pump while you're working. On the road, of course, the road's going to be higher up, and when they pave it, it'll be slanted both directions, so water will run away from this area. That's great, and that's how most systems work, even up north. Like I said, I've experimented with this on my property and on other customers' property, and wow, does it work! This thing looks like a storm drain, but it's actually a sediment trap. It has a V down in the bottom, and if you look carefully, you'll notice that the sediment is totally trapped inside this little compartment. What they do is they put the pump down in here, a big 6-inch line, and they filter that out and send it over to the creek, just like we saw in the beginning. Actually, the best place to use this is on an acre or 2 acres, a huge piece of property. And When you have severe flooding, the mud pump and this type of a system with shallow wells, they work good and it will help keep your area dry. But much more cost effective is to truly dig a trench all the way around your property, all four sides. Make sure it's lower than your property. This will give water a place to go. Yes, you could put in shallow well, the pump system, just like you have, a shallow well for irrigation, and it will pull the water out of the ground, but it has to run 24/7. So digging that trench, the swale, if you think about the road, how there's a swale alongside the road, or in front of your property, if you live in a rural area, the county, you have a swale out front. This swale is designed to pick the water up off the road, but also from your property. Water migrates underground into that swale and is carried away. So there's another sediment trap, and you can see the big 6-inch hose that's being pumped out. Those sediment traps, they look like storm drains, and they're actually on the side of the road. So when this gets paved, those things are actually on the side. They're not under the road, they're on the side of the road. And they extend, throughout the entire system, along the road, so that they can easily come back and pump this water out if there's ever a problem, or they need to put utilities or cut the road in the future. I made a video about this before. I'm going to post that right here. Take a look. This is a great example of that. So if you look carefully, you'll see there's a bunch of well heads right here. You see all the well heads that go down into the ground. And what we're doing is we're pumping that water up into a 6-inch pipe. That pipe runs over, and you can see the giant generator over here. That sucks the water up, and then it discharges, and we have to go to a discharge area that will be far enough away from the area that the water does not come back through the ground. Pretty straightforward, but a real interesting process, and permitting is huge. Hey, this is Chuck with Apple Drains, reminding you that if you believe you can do something, I guarantee you can do it. Have a great day.